Thank you very much. I tell you, St. Thomas is one of the best marketing groups in the city. With this crowd, it's amazing, and I've heard so many people coming to hear this. I hope I don't disappoint you. But I love St. Thomas, and St. Thomas has been a great partner for us. You know, they hosted in Minneapolis our first Business Connect meeting, which was really great, and we showed this space to the NFL, and we will continue to show it, and hopefully, as I told Julie, maybe somebody like Taylor Swift will practice her halftime show at St. Thomas. Although we don't know who's going to perform, but this is a great spot for the halftime practice. Doesn't hurt to have a celebrity or two walking around. But I'm here, and I'm really happy and excited to tell you about Super Bowl 52 and what we have planned and why it is important to our community. The governor did appoint Richard Duggan Maryland to chair this effort because he really wanted to take advantage of the platform that the NFL gives us to promote Minnesota. And we got together. So when we came on board, Richard said, "Why don't you meet?" You know, we had a lot of handshakes from CEOs saying, "We'll fund this Super Bowl." But he said, "Why don't you get together with the chief marketing officers of those companies and ask them what they need from the Super Bowl if their CEO hadn't agreed to fund it, because this is a privately funded event. What would make them take this package to their CEO?" I thought that was brilliant, so we did. We put together a roundtable and met with them, and they said, "You know, it's really hard for us to draw highly skilled employees and also to keep them in Minnesota. The media hasn't been our friend with Fargo and Grumpy Old Men and New in Town, and they position us as talking funny and cold and sometimes boring, and we aren't." I mean, we do talk funny, and it is cold, but we aren't boring. And so they said, if you could tell the complete story, if you could use the $500 million the NFL gives us in earned media to complete the Minnesota story, that would help us a lot. And oh, by the way, we don't have tourists here in the winter, and we could use some of those too. So we, together with those great CMOs, put together a message that we're sending to the world about Minnesota. And it's already started, but I will let Lainey, who's here with me today, play this quick video to give you the message better than I can.
We're a land of innovators, creators, scientists, and risk takers. We have thriving arts, theater, and music scenes. We have world-class restaurants. We consistently rank among the healthiest, most active communities in the nation. Our businesses feed, clothe, transport, and inspire people around the globe. And we're unlike anyone else who has ever hosted the Super Bowl. We are the North. The bold North, where working hard meets playing harder. Where we don't just face the weather, we embrace it. Where our bold way of life amazes everyone who experiences it. And for 10 days in February 2018, that number takes a sharp turn north.
We are pleased to announce that Super Bowl 52 will be played in Minnesota.
Super Bowl 52 is our chance to host millions of guests, speaking 33 different languages, with over 5,000 media from 130 countries. It will also mark our legacy of 52 weeks of donations to those who are making a real difference in our communities. We'll be the entertainment capital, with marquee concerts, parties, and events the likes of which we've never seen. And for the grand finale, we'll host the biggest, most exciting sporting event in the world, in nothing less than the newest, boldest stadium in the world. This is Minnesota's opportunity to stand in the spotlight, and it's your chance to share the spotlight and show the world what your business and your people are all about. To go beyond the game and to share with others everything we love about the bold North, to give them reasons to return to live, work, shop, and play for years to come. The time is now. The moment is ours, and it begins today. We all need to work together to do this right. and there's plenty of room on the stage. We hope you'll join us in getting behind the greatest event in the world, Super Bowl 52.
So, so the day after the Houston Super Bowl, we launched a 52-week marketing campaign to promote Minnesota's greatest assets. Our wonderful nonprofits, and we're giving 52 grants. Every Tuesday we give a grant. Every Wednesday we have a super school breakfast, which I'll talk about in a minute. We highlight great corporations from Minnesota, wonderful Minnesotans, our treasures and our assets. And we do it with the help of our wonderful media partners, Jenny, Bert, the magazine you started. And truly, we couldn't do it without them. And I'll talk a little bit more about what to look for in a little bit. So that will lead into a 10-day festival that we are tentatively calling the Bold North Festival until the NFL stops us. And they get approval over everything. So but we like the Bold North, and people seem to have rallied around that, and they seem fine with it. So the 10-day festival will start January 26th. The big opening night will include Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Bloomington with elements of this festival. The first 6 days will really be geared toward our Minnesotans, and they're welcome to come, and we'll encourage them to come to the festival. Also our neighbors, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Canada, all football fans, maybe a foot into Wisconsin, unless, and then if Green Bay is in the game, you can all rent your homes, use Airbnb. Every single person in Wisconsin will be here. 5,000 media will be in, and we'll need 10,000 volunteers to host these people and make sure they have a great, great introduction to the Bold North. So the festival, when we created the festival components, we used 3 kinds of events. The NFL sanctioned events, and I'll talk about those. There's probably about 25 that they will do. And then their partners will do another 50. Just through the NFL and their partners. And then the events the host committee can actually create. And then our classic Minnesota events that we all know and love. So those 3 components are composing the Bold North Festival. So first, the NFL. This is hard to see, but there are so many of them. We put them on this slide. The Super Bowl experience will be in the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's the only place it will fit. It's 2.5 times as big as Nickelodeon Universe, same price point. It is a wonderful attraction for families. The Lombardi Trophy is there, the rings are there, autograph signing, celebrities. You can do a pickup flag football game. There'll be clinics. They'll do several nonprofit events inside NFL. It used to be called the NFL Experience, but now they're calling it the Super Bowl Experience, and that will be at the Convention Center. I said it actually started here in 1992 as punt, pass, and kick. So we actually can take credit for that event. Minnesota can. And then there's Radio Row. And in most markets, they put this inside the convention center, but our convention center is smaller. So we're finding a new home for that. It is free of charge. It's open to the public. And the radio stations come and set up their broadcast booths. And then the celebrities, athletes, television stars, movie stars, all the visiting dignitary come through there and do their interviews. It's great people watching for our guests. So we want to put it in a place where it's easily accessible. Opening night right now looks like it will be in Excel. No contracts are signed, but we'd like to have opening night in St. Paul to make sure that we include all 3 cities. And that is open to the public also. It's a great event. It's a command performance by both teams. They don't want to be there. So there's usually some antics, and that makes for good television. So, but it is a fun event. And then we have Taste of the NFL, another event that started here in 1992, and that will for sure be at River Center on closing night, and it is a beautiful event. They will raise over $1 million for hunger relief efforts, and most of it will stay in Minnesota. And then Honors. Honors is the NFL's night at the Oscars. That's where they give their awards. It's Saturday night before the game. It's again televised. It's a wonderful event, and we'll host that in one of our largest theaters. And then we move on to the Women's Summit, and we'll be looking for a home for this 2-day wonderful event where the NFL encourages women to become involved in the NFL and in sports activities and other business activities. They bring in girls as well as women leaders from the community. And Roger Goodell opened it this year in Houston. It was amazing, and all these junior high school girls, and he said, which one of you are going to apply for my job in 20 years? And not one raised their hand. And he said, that has to change. Now, I wouldn't apply for his job, but they don't know that. Nobody wanted his job. And there'll be a tech summit, and the owners will give money to a startup in the tech industry around sports and health. There'll be Super Kids, Super Sharing is just one of the many events for nonprofit that the NFL does. And then they'll have the Unsung Heroes lunch, which is really special. And it goes on. It goes on and on and on. That really is just a top line. And then you have their partners or their collaborators that throw parties all the time. But what I discovered in Houston, and I saw it in San Francisco and in Arizona, but I really saw it in Houston, that it's where America comes to do business. They play, they network, they have fun, but they also meet new partners. And you could go to 4 events a night, and they'd all be valuable. The 2 that I remember most, and on Saturday night before the game, we had over 100 people with us, and so we sent some to Taylor Swift, and some to Honors, and some to Taste of the NFL. And we had an invitation, and it was to the American Dairy Farmers Dinner. And no, I said, I'll do that. My grandfather was a dairy farmer, and I'll go. It was the best event I have been to in a long time. It was small, maybe 80 people. There was an NFL player, a very famous one at every table. Of course, I didn't recognize him at all. I asked one what company he worked for. He had 2 Super Bowl rings on. I didn't even notice. And then there was a CEO and a dairy farmer. And we had the best conversation. And at the end, the players and the coach got up, and there were about 8 of them. And Mike from Mike and Mike, the radio personality, did the interview. And it was intimate. It was amazing. And of course, then at the end, they tied it into the dairy farmers, and the dairy farmers are like centers on a football team. No one cares about them. They never get an interview, but if they don't hike that ball, it's not going to start. And so it was really cool. I didn't go to the vanity party, and I had a ticket to it. So I stayed with the dairy farmers, and that happens all over. Zach Brown hosted a brunch with Aeromark because he is really a wine producer, and that's what he cared about. He brought his band, and they did a little a cappella thing, but what he really cared about is meeting restaurateurs and talking about his new wine. So that happens all over town. It is amazing how many people will do that. And then we have our Super Bowl host committee events, and we're going to use several locations to do that, but the main one will be down Nicollet Mall, and they guarantee us it will be finished. And if not, those arches will lead to some wonderful cranes and shovels and things like that. But right now, we'll go from 12th to the light rail. We won't probably cross the light rail tracks. And we will showcase winter sports. We will have amazing ice sculptures and snow sculptures and wonderful music. We have to highlight Minnesota music. And I think we have another, of course, we have 5 media networks that would like to be on that street, and those are always fun to watch. From NBC carries our game to ESPN, who wants to be an IDS, NFL Network, CNN, and so on. So that's also entertaining for people. And then the concert stages. Of course, these are artists' images, but it would be pretty cool to see that in PV Plaza. And we'll do concerts and music every day. And we have wonderful partnerships. There'll be 15 of our corporate partners located on that street, showcasing what innovative business in Minnesota is really like. And then we have our friends, our classic Minnesota events, from the Winter Carnival to pond hockey to polar plunges and polar dashes, and of course the Ice Palace, which we hope will look like this. If we, I think it's on the next slide, Lainey. That's what their goal is to build the big one, which has not been built for a long time. So I know they're working very hard on it, and it would be perfect if we do opening night in St. Paul to be able to show people show the media. That'll be the money shot. So that's all about the work that gets done. We have 100 different projects open right now, and we're trying to place things and place events, and people are coming through all the time looking for venues. But as Marilyn says, it's a party with a purpose. It was in '92, and it absolutely has to be in 2018. And we are Super Bowl 52, and we made a commitment to promote Minnesota for 52 weeks. And in the bid, the NFL said, we would give you $1 million. You have to match that, and you decide where it goes. And the bid was very generic. It said, we want to improve the health and wellness of Minnesota kids. It's slipping. We were number 1. We dropped to number 6. We want to turn that around. And so when we came on board in 2015, we met with 90 different people in this space: Department of Education, Department of Public Health, Mayo Clinic, Children's Hospital, Health Partners, and many nonprofits. And this is what we found. Don Shelby says it better than I do, so I'll let you hear it from him.
We're proud of the life we've built in Minnesota, our communities, our families, our kids. But in a place where we take an active lifestyle for granted, not everyone's getting the message. We're no longer considered the healthiest state in the country. The next generation of Minnesota children is less active and has less access to healthy food. Nearly 70% will drop out of organized sports by the age of 13. And for the first time in history, our children are expected to have shorter life expectancies than us. We need to get our kids moving again, eating better, building lifelong habits. That's why the Minnesota Super Bowl Host Committee is turning this one-day event into a lasting legacy and building a healthier, more active, and life-changing future for all Minnesota children. For Super Bowl 52, we're creating a 52-week-long campaign that focuses on 3 things that can really help our kids thrive: fun, fuel, and fundamentals. Help us make life in the bold North the best it can be. Join us and use the excitement for Super Bowl 52 to build a healthier, more active Minnesota for everyone, but especially for our kids.
So we luckily, I mean, again, we're short timers, we're only around for 3 years. And so we worked with the Department of Health and Department of Education, and they happen to have, luckily, 52 things on their list that have been vetted, important fitness and fuel kinds of grants that are needed in places and they will be maintained for 7 to 10 years. So we decided to use that list and fund it. And we started, again, the week after, every Tuesday, so the week after Houston. And 75% will be given outstate, and 25% will be Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Bloomington. And so we've given the first, over in the east side of St. Paul, the Asian community really wanted Takao courts. There are none in the United States. It's a cultural game they really wanted to play. And with the help of 3M, we were able to provide them with a grant. So it's the first Takao courts in the United States. Last week we were down in Faribault, and there's a trailer park. Had 200 kids living in the trailer park, and the only playground they have is a small park full of rocks with a rusted jungle gym. And so when they got off the bus, Victor the Viking was there with our staff, and they're getting a new park in their trailer, and it was on the list. So it is a really cool program, and we'll keep going with that. And then on Wednesdays, we do Super School Breakfast. So with the help of General Mills and the Midwest Dairy Farmers, we learned that schools in Minneapolis have this program, and it's providing a new way of delivering breakfast to kids that need it. And for those that are on subsidized meal plans, going into lunch, it's not a big deal because they just punch in their code and you don't know if you're on subsidized or not. But breakfast, there's a stigma because they have to go into the cafeteria and they're the only ones there. But there's this new delivery mechanism, which is basically a cart that's 20 feet long, and they put it in the hallways, same food, they serve it in the food. Kids that are on subsidized meal plans and those that aren't can go through it, and they put 5 things in a bag, they go to class, they can eat it all morning, and we all know the data around eating a good breakfast and how it affects learning. So it is amazing, and right now we have enough money we've raised $5 million for our legacy fund, and we keep growing it, but we have enough money for 52 schools to get those carts, and we'll keep going because they really are important. We hope to do a lot more. So that's our legacy fund. And the Mayo Clinic, together with the NFL, will do a lot of coaching seminars this fall about head health and safety. You know, we have 28 mission-driven committees working on everything from sustainability to anti-human trafficking, and they're led by subject matter experts, amazing people. And we thought it would be great if some of our young leaders would work alongside of them, so the next time a big event comes, they'd know all the issues that we encounter. So we formed a Leadership 52 group. They meet quarterly, and we have great speakers. Doug Baker and his dad are speaking next time. They run those committees. They're way overqualified to run our committees, and they're doing a spectacular job. So that's our leadership program. And then, of course, we have our Business Connect program, one of the most important programs to our diverse and local businesses. We have 400 plus companies that are in our database right now. They will all get business development training. They've had 2 sessions already. The first one, as I mentioned, was at St. Thomas. And they will learn how to bid big projects. They won't all get a contract, but they will all get visibility with the NFL. So it's a very cool program. And the NFL is committed to use those suppliers before anyone else. And then we have our volunteers, which these people are the most important aspect of a Super Bowl because they're going to create the memories. They're the ones that are going to bring people back to Minnesota and sell them on living and working and playing here. And we need 10,000. Our lead volunteer is Chad Greenway. He is only part-time because he's still with the Vikings, but he is number 52. And he is a wonderful community supporter, so we couldn't have asked for anyone better. We unveiled him in Houston, and we hope you'll all be interested in volunteering, and you can go into the website and sign up for our newsletter, and in about 2 weeks, we'll launch the registration system. We just signed a partner who's near and dear to my heart to be the sponsor of kindness. So we will launch that in 2 weeks. And so if we do it right, we'll see $400 million in economic impact, $500 million in earned media. If we're as good as Indiana, we'll see a major increase in tourism events, meetings, plannings, hopefully more people living here. Our opportunities will be endless for the Business Connect vendors, and our kids will maybe have some new things to play with. So we couldn't do it without our partners, and they are wonderful. People signed up initially to help. Then we have, and they've been truly creating this event, so I can't thank them enough. And our media partners, nobody'd know about anything if we didn't have our media partners, and every single one of those companies has done an amazing job, whether it's promoting myboldnorth.com with MSP Communications and the Explore Minnesota. That's a great series. It's 52 love letters to Minnesota by Minnesota well-known people if you go into myboldnorth.com. To Royce's weekly Super Bowl memories that are hysterically funny. And Minnesota businesses are highlighted, Minnesota destinations, and so on. So we're all set to go. We go to Houston. We bring about 150 people there, CMOs to figure out how to activate, CEOs to do the business. And there's this tradition that happens at every Super Bowl where the city that's just ending hands the ball to the city that's starting. And it's right before the MVP press conference, and no one really cares, except for the people that are getting the ball. But in San Francisco, they were handing it to Houston, and Houston's theme was space. So they had the astronauts from the International Space Station videotape throwing the ball to Houston. It was really cool. And we're like, oh my God, how are we going to top that? But we are the Minnesota Super Bowl, and we figured out it was 2 million yards from Houston to Minnesota. And so we did a shout out to Minnesotans and said, can you help us get the ball home? And this is just a tiny bit of what we showed, and I think the NFL really liked it.
Okay, Minnesota, now you're on the clock.
Welcome to beautiful Minnesota.
So that's our. So this, it really is a community event, and we are on the clock, and we have the ball, and so we hope you'll all join us in this effort. But I'd be happy to answer questions if you'd like me to, and I know there's these microphones around the room if people want to grab those. So.
Hi, Maureen. Greg Cash. Nice to see you again. You mentioned, by the way, congratulations on all the good work that you and your team have done and will continue to do. You mentioned the Ice Palace, and I understand they're having difficulty finding a place onto which to build it. And one of the preferred venues is the Capitol Mall, although it's gotten a fairly frosty reception from bureaucrats on the Hill. Is there anything you and your committee can do to thaw that out a little bit?
I don't know about that. I thought they were having success. The last I heard, they were actually having success in finding a home for it. So that's new news. Huh. We've given them a lot of leads for fundraising because people that say no to us, we pass on to others. So hopefully they won't have trouble fundraising with the final location.
Hi, thank you for speaking to us, and thank you for mentioning anti-human trafficking efforts. I'm wondering if you can elaborate on those a little bit more.
Yes, there's actually a committee of 40 people, and the chairs are Amanda Kunanachara from Hennepin County, John Choi from Ramsey County, and Terry Williams, who is with the Minnesota Women's Foundation. And they have put together an amazing plan that is, we've worked with Houston to learn from them, and Arizona and San Francisco, and they have almost, they need a little more funding. The NFL will fund part of it, and it involves awareness, it involves rescue, and then the rehabilitation or the safety of people afterwards. Thank you. So.
Hi. Okay, so I'm a student here at St. Thomas. I'm really impressed with what you've done. I'm sure everyone in here, appreciates what you're doing for Minnesota. My first question is, I know you don't start the volunteering for 2 weeks, but I will be the first to say that I will volunteer as Tom Brady's security. But no, my actual question is, just kind of, how'd you react when you first got the news? I mean, your drive home, did you listen to some music? Were you how was your reaction? I mean, it's a pretty big thing to host a Super Bowl, so.
Oh, well, I don't know how I reacted. I had to think about it for a while because I kind of knew what was involved. And after being through the opening of Mall of America, but we did have a grace period where we could make up for our mistakes. And Super Bowl, you have no grace period. It's either, make it or break it. So I had to think about it a little while before I jumped in. But once you realize how much support is out there and how much people want to help, then it became very easy, a very easy decision.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there, my name is Brady Golden. I own a property downtown, and there's been a lot of controversy on our condo board about opening housing up for the Super Bowl. Can you speak a little bit to that? I know there's some older residents that are very concerned if these places get rent out, that there's going to be a lot of wild partying. Can you speak to a little bit about what you've seen in the other places that have hosted the Super Bowl, as well as how we would pursue some more corporate housing versus visitors housing if we wanted to open it up that way?
Well, I think a couple things. It really, whether or not you can rent your apartment depends on the laws of that city, and I'm not sure, and your condo board. So I don't know that Minneapolis supports the Airbnb, so we have to check that first. But it really depends on who's in the game, and you don't know that till 2 weeks ahead of time. We have 32,000 hotel rooms in this market. We have 20,000 under contract. If Green Bay, and I wasn't kidding, if Green Bay gets in, you can rent your cars. Because every single person will be here. If a team like the Falcons or the Panthers, they don't travel well. East Coast teams travel. Dallas Cowboys would travel. Green Bay would travel. Probably any Midwestern drive market team would travel. So first of all, you have to understand, is there a market for it? Some of the stories where they're paying $9,000 a night, some of them are grossly exaggerated. So once that, we don't have as many hotel rooms as other markets, so there very well could be a market for it. If you are very close to the stadium and you really are willing to rent it out. The NFL usually needs things though for 30 days, not just for for the workers. And they don't throw big parties. If you rent it to a rapper, I can't help you. So that's what it is.
Sorry, just to follow up on that. So the NFL would be the place to contact because,
No, you'd contact us and we'd share it with the NFL.
okay,
Yeah.
because it is close and it's Skyway connected, and I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of controversy, and they wanted to put together a proposal. So if everybody in the building could put together and say, these are the units willing to be rented out for that month block or whatever it would be, we just didn't know what the best path to pursue that would be. So.
No, absolutely tell us about it, because we have a venue portal and we have a hotel portal, and so we can manage, we can at least forward it to people. If it's a large block, if it's individual, we probably wouldn't we'd let people do that on their own.
What is large?
Well, 20,
Okay,
20,
that's good.
20 or more. I just made that up. So, I don't know. I just know that individually we won't probably do that.
Hi, my name is Tom Motzel, and I'm part of a bigger and broader effort to get in front of our kids in the state of Minnesota to talk about STEM careers and make a bigger impression about just the massive kind of changes that technology is bringing to us more quickly than people realize in some cases. And it goes to workforce and everything else in terms of developing what we need here in the future. And I'm wondering how we can get involved and with you, who to contact to kind of collaborate toward that end. A lot of the people and sponsors that you've already talked about are also talking to us. So it seems like something we should be working together on.
Yeah, and we have talked to the Minnesota Tech Association, High Tech Association, and the Minnesota Cup, and we forwarded those guys to the NFL for the Tech Summit to get them all involved. So maybe with you, we could do the same.
All right. Well, this is called the Great Minnesota Tech Together, so keep that in your
Okay,
ears.
got it. Yes.
Hi, my name's Patsy Keach. I'm a teacher at Egan High School. And when I was on the website, I teach a hospitality management class. And I would really like my students who are juniors and seniors to be able to experience the opportunity to volunteer. But it said that it was only for 18 and older. I'm wondering, would there be any opportunities for high school students to volunteer who are not 18?
You know, maybe we can keep that in mind. Certainly, in smaller environments, it's mostly for their own safety that we say 18 and over, because we want to make sure that they're if they're out in a street directing traffic or in a skyway, that they're adults. But I think I can forward you to the head of our hospitality, and maybe there are some smaller kind of jobs that they can learn from or shadow some people. That would be great.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Link on my, one more.
Hello. So I was actually just talking to someone today about sort of larger events like the World Cup and the Olympics specifically, and how they tend to have sort of negative long-term effects on communities. You're obviously pretty optimistic about the long-term impact on Minnesota. What are kind of some of the projections that are leading you to that? Are those past Super Bowls, other factors, whatever those may be?
Well, first, we aren't as expensive as either of those two, so that's part of the reason. We don't build structures, we use existing structures. So that's one of the main reasons. But also, yes, we are actually following the Indy model, which they hosted the Super Bowl in 2012. And they did it for the same reasons we're doing it. They wanted to change impressions of Indy. And since then, they've been up, and we've been following them up 20% in all those categories that I mentioned: events, conventions, meetings, and so on. And it was a wonderful Super Bowl. And the NFL actually considers Indiana one of their very best. Houston was probably rivaled that this year. It was a good Super Bowl. But if you do it right, it should produce for this market long term.
Thank you.
Now, if we have a blizzard and 2 feet of snow, then maybe not. Anyway, thank you so much, and we hope you'll join us.